Welcome to OC Life Podcast 6, where we turn your life into a message. OC Life Podcast is sponsored by B&B Sweets with our CEO, Jarvis Elder. We're going to do something special this week, this podcast, where we're going to go into something that we're going to do for the future podcast. We're going to go to Jarvis's Corner. Jarvis's Corner is basically Jarvis providing us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He's always sending out motivational videos and messages to others. And so what we want to do, Jarvis, is we want to take that energy and put it back into OC Life Podcast. We have our special guest here, CT. And we will dig into your life and talk about a few things about your life. But again, this is OC Life Podcast 6, where we turn your life into a message. All right, welcome back. Welcome to OC Life Podcast, Podcast 6, where we turn your life into a message, sponsored by B&B Sweets. Our co-host here, Jarvis Elder and CT. CT, thank you for coming on, man. I definitely appreciate you for coming on. You've been a blessing to us. Jarvis, last week we had a few mishaps. The game didn't go as planned.
Yes, sir.
All right. The Central Texas Tigers lost to the Texas Ravens 28-18.
Correct.
CT is the starting running back for the Tigers, and Jarvis is the all-purpose back, specialist, punt returner, all of that. So, guys, let's talk about last week's game, and let's talk about how you guys could improve, again, getting ready to face against the Wolfpack this week.
I think last week's game was pretty much an eye-opener because we had a lot of meltdowns, individuals, players not playing together, not trusting your teammates. So I think it was really a disappointing loss for us, and we faced a lot of adversity that game. But I felt like we had an opportunity to win that game.
Well, you, CT?
It wasn't a real great game for me. I got hurt in the first quarter. Well, second drive, I didn't come back. But I feel like my team did a great job of persevering. They did really like the offense and defense to rally back. You know, at one point in time, we were having trouble. Offense was struggling, defense was struggling. So just to see them do that was good. And I know that the team made progress. We did fall short, but we got a tough game this week, and I think that we can win that one.
All right, so let's get into next week. Jarvis, again, you guys are facing the Wolfpack. Game one, you guys started off real slow. Couldn't really find your rhythm offensively. Defense played lights out. Then, after halftime, DT made some adjustments. And next thing you know, you guys put up 3 or 4 scores on the board. What's the key to this week's game for you guys to beat the mighty Wolfpack?
I feel like this game we have nothing to lose. I feel like they have everything to lose, and we have everything to gain. I feel like we have the opportunity to shock everybody, regardless of our record 1-3 or 1-4. We have an opportunity to go out there and prove something to ourselves that we're not just gonna lay down and just die. We're gonna rise to the occasion. We're gonna lift ourselves up. We're gonna play as a team. We gotta play as a team. We gotta look ourselves in the mirror and come as a team, as a unit, and trust each other, believe in each other, and be dogs. You gotta be dogs out there, man. You can't just come out there and just lay down, because these guys are champions for a reason. You know, that's the way I see it.
Buddy, what's the keys?
Trusting our coach's game plan, trusting our teammates, stay focused, be mentally sound, and be ready to play some football. Be physical, be aggressive. Punch them in the mouth before we get punched.
Yeah.
Don't come out flat.
Well, I'll tell you guys are going to Bible Stadium, AC Bible Stadium. Game will be at AC Bible Stadium at 7 o'clock. The Central Texas Tigers will be facing the Leander Wolfpack in Leander. Leander Wolfpack beat the Austin Vipers 41-15. Spanked them pretty good. And now they're looking to do the same thing to the Tigers. Guys, going through all of this, we asked you to come on our podcast for a reason.
Right.
And a little bit of backstory before we go into Jarvis's Corner, motivation. You guys shared a photo with me when we wanted to bring you on, and it was a jersey swap. Talk to the viewers about your guys' bond and your brotherhood and how you guys have come together now at this point?
I feel like it all started 10 years ago when we played on a flag football team called the Wick Splitters. I seen this young guy. He came on the team. He was an energetic guy, young guy. So I took him under my wing as a older brother, young brother type of relationship. And I seen over the 10 years that he's really grown. He's matured. He's became a grown man, and a young man, and then also he's on his own business. He's doing a lot of things. Back then, he faced some adversity, and I learned all about that back then. But now I feel like he's overcome all that. So I'm grateful to have him as a brother and call him as a friend.
I think I have to touch in to say likewise. Same thing with him. We definitely did the competitive spirit. He did take me underneath his wing. We trained together. We played in Cowboy Stadium together. We played against each other. He's been there when I needed him. If I ever called him, he didn't answer. He called right back. As far as he watched me grow, and I watched him grow. From now him having his own business as well. So sitting next to him, saying we're both two business owners is pretty cool. To watch him grow, to get married, be a family man. I'm definitely appreciate him. And Jarvis is the type of guy that if it's 12 o'clock at night and he's outside and it's a red light and nobody's around, he's still gonna stop at that red light. So that's pretty cool.
That's a strong statement that you make. It basically goes back to you want people when no one's watching. Champions are made when nobody's watching, right? Champions are made when the stands are empty, when you guys are running those stadium stairs. And you guys talked about your relationship, but also too, Jarvis, you're the CEO of B&B Suites, which sponsors our OC Life podcast, right?
Yes, sir.
And CT, you are a business owner. You have a cleaning business.
Yes.
Let our viewers know what your cleaning business is, point of contact, phone numbers, and how you got started in that business, and how they can possibly be of service to you or you be of service to them.
The name of our company is All American Universal Cleaning Service. We service the 4 major areas. We do a little bit of work here in Killeen. You can contact us at 254-669-2192. That's directly to me. Or you can reach out to us on Facebook at All American Universal Cleaning Service, or you can book on Google or Yelp. We basically do commercial and residential cleaning. Everything is on the interior. What we do is we'll provide a walkthrough for you. We'll tell you what entails on the clean, and from there, we'll either book you or, whenever you're ready to book, we'll book.
Wow. So, you just didn't get out of mom's womb and become a CEO, right?
True.
Something had to lead to you getting to be a CEO, which is the chief executive officer of your company. Where did you start from? And how did you get to where you are right now?
I bounced around from job to job for a while. After college, I had a little run-in, with law enforcement. And from there, it was a tough time for a few years. I had to learn how to persevere. I had to figure out some things in my life and figure out where I was failing. And then in that regards, I started off actually with the detailing company. And then once I realized I was fighting against the weather, I was like, I got to figure out something else. My mentor, Travis Ward, he was able to help me figure out another avenue. And that's what we did. We came on with cleaning and, went with it, and I stuck with it. I got the business November 20th, 2018, and I think we launched in May of 2019.
So, you said that you faced some challenges with law enforcement, which may have hindered your life path. You're 28 years old.
Yes, sir.
You were born in Philly, but Killeen is home to you.
Yep.
You've been playing football for a total of 15 years now.
Yeah.
You've played from high school, youth football, to college, now minor professional football, right? Your vision and your dream is to be a part of the XFL, or maybe even get a good enough deal where you can get a professional job. What is it about CT that makes you different than any other player that the XFL or the USFL they want? What makes you different? Let our viewers know what makes you different.
I would definitely say my energy. My energy is crazy. The energy that I bring to a team is just phenomenal because I'm happy to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some players are tired to be there. The energy, the perseverance, the adversity, the things that I've been through.
Right.
Not saying anybody else hasn't, but in the humbleness, in the way that I care and support my other teammates. See, I really believe in how you help somebody else, it'll come back and help you. You know, so it'll help you in the long run. So I just feel like the energy and me being able to help others around me on the team will be suitable for me. That makes me different.
So let's talk about that. And I want to get my co-host in here because, you know, he's generally a quiet guy, but I want to hear some questions that he has for you as well. But I want to ask this one question to you. Every player has the same goals you have. You said your energy stands out. But there's only been one or two players that I know of that has ever made it from playing minor professional football to the NFL or to the XFL or what have you.
Right.
How does that play a part in your psyche when you're out of these games and maybe coaches may not be calling the right plays or the game may not be going the right way?
Right.
The game may not be going, and I'm talking about collectively over your career.
Mm.
Because you know when you're in youth football, you got coaches that are just starting. You go to high school, you got coaches that have favorites. You go to college, you got that you're sitting behind that fifth year senior. Then you go to my professional football, you have coaches. I'm not just talking about your current situation. I'm talking about in general. Do you believe that coaches play a big part in you getting to where you want to get to?
Yes and no. That's a 50-50 for me because it's like I'm a strong believer that yes, coaches do have their favorites. You know, it's obvious, but I feel like if you show a coach and you put it in their face and, as I like to say now, apply pressure, you have to do something, you know, to where they have no choice but to see it. That's the energy I'm talking. They have to see it. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? That there, and it has been times where it's been a struggle, because they know I'm trying to get somewhere else, and instead of calling this run play on the 3-yard line, you call a pass play. You know, that could be a touchdown. That's on the highlight tape. That's you know, that for me they say stats never lie. You know, you don't get in the Hall of Fame by looking good.
Yeah.
Right. You don't get in the Hall of Fame by looking good. So, if that's something, you know, that'll help the team. If passion is going to help the team, cool. I'm a team player. But if you know this has been working, if it ain't broke, I'm a firm believer. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So Jarvis, this is your teammate. If you had some questions you wanted to ask him, what would it be?
What adversity have you faced when you was in college, when you tried to play on a football team? Like, you come from high school as a starter, and you go to college, and maybe you're not starting as you want to start. What adversity did you face?
College was definitely different because I didn't go straight out. So I went to Navarro College in Corsicana. The hardest thing about that was going to walk-on class and seeing the team practice in full pads, and I'm in a shirt and t-shirt. Shorts and a t-shirt. No helmet, no nothing. The coaches don't know you. They don't acknowledge you. And you have to work for everything on the team. And there's a guy on that football team that you know that you're better than, but there's nothing you can do about it because you're not on the team yet. So that's something that I had to learn. I did wind up earning a spot later on. So it's just a hard work and the grind. The grind was the hardest part. That was the adversity, the grind. Not only knowing that I was better than some of these guys and they were playing and I wasn't. So, and I was behind a learning curve too. It took me a while to learn the playbook, and it took me a while to know what I was supposed to do and things like that.
Also, I see that, you know what I'm saying, you care about your family very much. And like I said, I seen a couple weeks ago in practice, you had your brother running around the track, you was training them up.
Right.
You know, your sister's a track star. Your little sister, they all do sports. So tell me about that. Like, how are you doing, like, mentoring your brother, like, trying to get him to the where you at?
And so It's just a family tradition, you know. It started out with me, so anything that I could do to help my little brother get better, either my sister, whatever the case, to help them get better is what I do, and part of my business is for them. If they choose or decide to not to go to college, they have something. Hey, big brother, can I come work for you? That's a little off subject, but that's something that I built for them. You know, sports don't ever work out, or anything else they do. But you know, the training and the mentorism is just something that's instilled in me. You know, from my parents. You know.
That's interesting. That's very interesting you said that, because Eric Thomas, he said that statement too. He said, you know what I'm saying, why would my son go work for somebody else when I'm doing a business myself? Why would I do that when I'm breaking generational curses and making generational wealth? So that's a good statement right there.
Right.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
So I think that when you go back and you look at, they mentioned your family, you had a different sense of focus. We're talking about football, you got one focus, right? Now we talk about your family and you just kind of zoned in. Talk to the viewers about why your family means so much to you.
I'll be honest, like, you know, when they're born, it's like, oh, who's this little baby, you know, running around, who's this? As time progresses, you build a bond, and it's like the same thing like with the parent and the child. It's kind of the same thing with like brother and sister, you know. Family is important to me because that's just something that we always had in our household, for the most part. And they, you know, they uplift me. You know, my brother and sister, they still come to my games. I go to their track meets. You know, I try to help. And my mom, you know, she does everything that she possibly can. And I know if anything was to happen to, you know, to my mother or anything like that, then I'm the next guy up. You know, it's kind of like the same thing in football. Something happens in the family, you're the next man up. So, I fell in love with them over time. You know, it's an unconditional love for your family, you know? Yeah. And that's something that I have for my siblings. It's nothing that you could, I feel like my brother and sister could do no wrong. I know it's wrong to feel like that, but, you know, same thing with my mom, but like my siblings just like, they mean everything to me.
Well, it's not wrong to feel that way. I have 9 children myself and 11 in our blended family.
Right.
And we have 6 grandchildren. And it's not wrong to feel that way. People make judgment against me and they say, well, why do you have so many kids? It's, you know, I wanted a big family. I'm the youngest out of 6.
Right.
But I think what we all 3 of us have in common is a love for family. Both of you don't have any children, you know, and I know both of you future-wise, you're gonna want children, right? But you two seem to bear the responsibility of your family. In a day and age of social media, the worst tool that we could have came out with for people that are fake. What is it about taking, this is a 2-part question for both of you. What is it, why do y'all want the burden? Not the burden, but why do y'all take that burden? Why do y'all take that responsibility and put it on you at such a young age to be there for your family the way you are?
For me, I learned that from my grandparents. You know, my grandpa, he was always like, I always used to get mad when my grandma used to make on special holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas. She used to make pumpkin pie, pecan pie, and give them away to people. And I'm like, hey, that's for us. You know, we got all these, my cousins and stuff. But I appreciate that. You know, it taught me so much. Like it's not just about us. It's about everybody else. There's some people that need to eat. There's some people that, you know, you can put a smile on. So I look at that as it's big for me. And I feel like as myself and learning from my parents and my brothers and just people in general, learning from you and learning from CT, it's just like it just touches my heart each day. You know, to wake up to be able to be like, man, what can I do to uplift somebody each and every day? So that's good for me.
What about you, CT?
It's definitely taught in the family. That's what was taught. You know, you take care of your siblings. If somebody's not around, you're the oldest, that's your job. So I learned, you know, through time, like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what's gonna happen, you know. And it's old school, it's a little cliche, but I don't care if you don't like it, this is what's gonna happen. And like I said, honestly, I fell in love with the role, honestly. I love my siblings and I love my mama. So there's nothing that you can tell me to say, hey, you're not going to do this or you're not going to do this for your siblings. You know, it's not a person that's going to tell me that. And when it comes to family, you can only get one of them. You know, as parents like to say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where you learn to love your family. You learn to develop that. You know, you get to learn them. You get to watch them grow up. You get to watch them become the person who they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to learn yourself. You know, they get to do the same with you. So, and you build this bond. You know, sometimes it don't always, and we're going to be transparent, sometimes it doesn't always work out with each family member. You might get along with this brother more than you get along with your sister. Or you might get along with your sister more than you can do, you know, with your brother. But I feel as though it's like mine's just more like equally yoked for the most part with all my brothers and sisters. We're all like evenly, you know, together. So
let's go back to, for all of us, I'll say March of 2020, when our whole world, what we knew, changed. And we got hit with the coronavirus and football season stopped. Dreams, games stopped. Everything stopped. Sports stopped. How did that affect you? You know, mentally and physically. How did that affect you when the world was hit with the coronavirus, the pandemic?
So physically, I gained weight. I came in the off season, this past season, overweight from, you know, Corona. A couple months before, well, a few months before, I'm sorry, my biological father had passed away. We were just, you know, bond was there, but it was getting stronger. So I was dealing with that as well. So it was like, I actually, you know, when you're working, you don't have the time to like really think. It's like you're just on the go. So me now sitting down, not working as much as I was, it was like, holy cow.
What was the financial impact on you?
The revenue that I was bringing in definitely went down. It was definitely a tough time because offices were starting to work from home. Residential clients, they didn't want anybody in their home because, you know, of the coronavirus.
Yeah,
so it definitely was like, what am I supposed to do now? All right. So I had to figure out other ways of income and legally, and that's what I did.
So I always say that, and Jarvis, you talked about it, you know, with the pandemic on our podcast previously, your mentality. You're in a different situation because you were working at the oil field. And of course, we all need, oil is used for so many different things, right?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about your transition on how your life transitioned from that point.
I mean, I feel like the state of the world, I mean, of course, we all panicked. Of course, everybody's like, man, what am I going to do? Am I going to have a job, or am I going to be able to provide for my family and stuff like that? And for me, I was able to still be able to work. I mean, of course, they cut our hours, but I was still able to bring something home, you know what I'm saying, to make sure, you know, my wife is good, and if my family needs something, they're good. And if they needed help, if they lost their job, I was able to help them at the same time, too. So it was a blessing to just have that and just continue to trust God through the process, too, you know?
Yeah, so, you know me, I'm a straight shooter. You know, I'm not I believe God put me on this earth to serve people. And I've been very open about my relationship with my kids. You know, it's been dictated by various situations, right? And I paid child support a lot of my life. And it's a time where financially I wasn't able to go see my kids because maybe the moms and I didn't see eye to eye, or the military had different requirements and engagements, right? And you mentioned your biological father, and then you mentioned your biological father some time back, right? What was your relationship like? Like, was your biological father in your life? Or?
So, no, not early on. My biological father was incarcerated since I was the age of 5, and then I met him again for the first time, I believe, right after high school. So he came home 2013, I believe, summer, and the bond was a little shaky at first. Like, it wasn't really bad. It was just getting to know one another. He was very open. He didn't make anything really hard. You know, I think we both stuck in our own ways, but I realized I was a lot like my dad in a lot of ways. So that's what really surprised me. You know, when you don't know one of your parents, and then you get to meet them later on, it's like, I didn't know I was so much like this person. So it's like, as I was seeing a spitting image of me, but really I'm from him. So I was like, man, this is crazy. Attitudes the same, demeanor about certain things was the same. Relaxation was the same. How we were, both calm, or we could be a live wire.
So do you think that your father's absence in your life, with some of the challenges you had in your life, do you think that if he was there all the time, do you think that your life would have been different?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna just say my mom did everything she could to bring good role models. My stepdad played a pretty good role for what he could do, but my mom always brought in good role models. So I don't know. We could always say what if, but I'm pretty sure if my dad was around, I think it would be a lot different. He didn't get to see my first football game. I would have loved to get to see that. He was there when I tried out for the Philadelphia Soul, and it meant everything for me. I think I recorded the highest, my highest times in all my drills that I ever had. Well, second, but just to have him there, just to get him just to watch me run and do workouts was pretty cool. So I have no doubt in my mind, if I would have had him early on, I would have been probably more on the straight and narrow.
Do you think that's gonna motivate you when you do have kids to be there, stationary with your kids and actively in their life?
For sure. I've been a step parent, so it's like I can only imagine how I'm gonna be with my biological child. I've worked, countless hours with someone else's kids, so I would really, really love to see how I be with my child, and just to know what it's like to not have a father. I would be stoked, to give them what I didn't have.
So Jarvis, the viewers know pretty much your life, about your biological father, your relationship
Yes, sir.
with him, and how your mom, did a lot, and your grandma and your grandpa did a lot, right? With your life the way it is, you talk very highly of your stepdad, Mr. Owens, right?
Yes, sir.
And do you think your life would have been different if your biological father was in your life?
Thinking about it now, I would say I really don't know. I can only do go with what God has planned for me. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta go with my story. Who knows? If back then if he was in my life, maybe when I have kids, I wouldn't be the dad I need to be. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think for me, it just gave me the opportunity now, since he's not in my life. It just motivated me to say, you know what? When I have a kid, I'm gonna try to prove, no matter the circumstances, no matter the adversity, I'm gonna try to be in my kid's life the whole time.
So, a backstory for me: I was been coaching high school football, for a while. Everywhere I was at in the military, I coached high school football. A high school that stood out to me was Windsor Forest High School in Savannah, Georgia. I was the co-offensive coordinator. I was a DB coach there. I went through a lot of racism in that school. And I'm a black coach. We had a roster of 67 players. The majority of our team, 85 to 90%, was black. Do you know that over 80% of those young men were in a one-parent home or raised by grandma and grandpa? And the common denominator was they didn't have their biological father. So we're coaching out there And I'm watching some talented young men ball. And I have players during the season, after season, even now, they say, man, I wish I had a dad like you. And he said, I wish I had a coach like you. They said, man, I wish I had a dad like you. And I've never been a big man. I don't believe in the word stepkids or stepfather. I believe a father is a father, a dad is a dad, a mom is a mom. I believe that. I believe that if you and whoever you're with, significant other, come through, I think that you unify yourself as their children. But the point that I'm making is that it's a consensus. I was very fortunate I had my mom and dad in my life, right? But as great in that business as you both are, and as highly motivated as you are to be a part of your family, your brothers and sisters, well documented, you being there for your brothers and sisters, your nieces and nephews, all that, and you guys not having kids of your own, you're pushing 30, you're pushing 35, right? When is the right time to say, hey, I want a family. I want to be able to check this block of my life and give all this energy to my own seeds and plant that seed.
You never know when is the right time. But when the time do come, that's when it can't be about you. It's got to be about the kid.
That's a tough one for me because it's like I'm back and forth. I have made a lot of mistakes in my life, so I think one thing I do want to do right is be married first. So that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on marriage.
100%.
I want to be married when I have my first child.
100%. So we touched on football, we touched on family, but the most important fact is faith, right? I'm a firm believer in the good Lord. I believe that there is a higher power. It's Jesus Christ, right? My life hasn't been perfect. Your life hasn't been perfect. Your life hasn't been perfect.
Wow.
But spiritually, how has God helped you in your life? All that you've been through.
I've realized spiritually, when you try to get away from God a little bit, He kind of steers you back towards Him. So things would happen that was out of the norm for me. And so I would say, okay, well, what's really going on in my life? Why is this happening? And I just realized that I didn't have God in my life, or I wasn't allowing Him to be in my life. So He's helped in ways to steer me back into the right direction.
What about you, Jarvis? I know you're matter of fact, I'll say this to everybody. Jarvis is the first player that I ever met that I had the privilege to coach, I say, that taught me about God, that I was comfortable enough to open up my home to Him, myself and my wife, LaTanya, to open up our home to Him and His wife. And when you got young men that you're coaching that have the faith, I've never seen you sweat. I've never really seen you upset. I've never seen you worried. There was times as the coach where we're with the Vipers, and that was like the toughest year of my coaching career ever. And I often went on record and said that was the worst mistake I ever made. But honestly, it was the best mistake I ever made because I end up knowing now what I want. You came to me one day and you was like, Coach, he was like, God's got a plan. We just got to go with it. Why is your faith so strong at such a young age? And what can you share with our viewers on how you go about your day-to-day spirituality?
I feel like, I just learned from my grandparents and my parents, my mom, my dad, just seeing them, make it through tough times and struggle times. I seen them, pray, going to church with my dad, my stepdad. He was always preaching to us, go to church, let's go to church, let's go to church. We didn't, growing up, we didn't have TVs. We didn't have TVs in our rooms and all that stuff. We just read books and stuff. You get mad about it, but at the end of the day, it kind of when you look at it, it's like you understand like why, you know what I'm saying? So you can be ready for what the world has for you, you know what I'm saying? So I really just believe in God so much because He's helped me along the way, you know, bless myself. He helped me bless me and then bless others. So that's what for me.
CT, we're going to talk about, before we wrap this up, we have about 10 or 15 minutes left. You're an athlete. You're a businessman. You're a CEO. You're a man that has failed in life over and over again. You know, Nick Saban is very famous for quoting Michael Jordan on how many shots he missed. And he says, you know, this is why he succeeds, because if he would have never shot those shots, when that moment came, he ended up doing it. What is it about today's athletes that you like and that you don't like?
Wow, that's crazy because I like the I guess you could say I would say more of the effort that they put in. The effort. Today, I feel like guys put in a lot more effort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you didn't get to see it because we didn't have the social media area.
Yeah.
You know, like when
Exactly.
You know, when you guys were in school, so
yeah,
you get to see the effort. Like I don't know if you guys remember, but it was a guy. Don't quote me on this. I think he was outside of the Browns stadium, and he was holding up a sign, the Cleveland Browns, and he was holding up a sign every day, you know, just to try to get a tryout and a workout. So I like, you know, just
wow, I never heard of that.
The relentlessness, yeah, just the relentlessness, and he actually, I don't know if I know he made a practice team, but they wound up giving it to him, and he did what he needed to do. What I don't like is the prima donnas.
Mm-hmm.
The prima donnas. And a lot of these guys don't have heart. A lot of these guys don't have heart. And they don't take ownership of the things that they do. And I fall into that because for a while I didn't take ownership. I kind of got complacent in being an athlete and sometimes you being a star on a certain team. Like Jarvis was talking about a little bit before, you get to a point to where you feel like I'm the man. And sometimes a new coach has to humble you and show you like, you're not really the man, you know. So I've been humbled before. I think college was the #1 experience with that. You're not the man here. Like, I don't even know who you are. You weren't even, you know, you wasn't even really recruited to come here. We just accepted you off the word of your coach type deal.
Well, Jarvis, you definitely are. I've always said you're that roll your sleeves up blue collar player that I think that type of player is phasing out in today's game.
Mm-hmm.
And when I coached you, it was never a question. I think the only time we had a disagreement is I think we called a glide and Darrell ended up throwing the high instead of a glide.
Yeah.
And he threw it right on the internal, right to the backer, and they picked it. It's pick 6 because it gets a whoop back.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of gave me that look. And there's only been a few players I've been kind of, as a coach, you know, we have this image that we don't, I'm not going to say fear our players, but there's a strong respect. But you have a real big presence on the field. And I'll never forget that day I was on the field and I was talking, like, yeah, I know what's that. And you just had this locked in look. And as a coach, you got to respect that, right? You got to walk past him because you're in the zone. What is it about today's players that you like and you don't like as well?
Today's players, I think what I like is they're trying to, they got that hunger. You know, some of them, they have that dog to want to make it, to want to prove to people that they are somebody. You know, they didn't have that right coach for them in high school. They didn't have the resources that they have now today. So I feel like some players have a chip on their shoulder. And what I don't like is some players just ain't coachable. Some people just ain't got that heart. You know what I'm saying? They always, some players want things given to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, coach, you gotta let me play because I'm a 5-star.
Right.
But you go to Nick Saban and you say that to Nick Saban, what he gonna tell you? He gonna be like, oh,
Right.
son, I got a whole bunch of 5-stars right here with you.
Yeah.
You want to
Right.
play here? You can go. Next man up.
We don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you.
Yeah.
So that's what I look at.
So CT, we talked about a few people. I want to get this straight because you said a few things in our pre-conversation before our podcast. Is you said that you had some mentors in your life that had impacted you,
Yeah.
where you wouldn't be where you are right now without them.
Yeah.
So hopefully your mentors will be watching this. You know,
They better watch.
just say a few things to them on how they impacted you and try to really, I want their names publicized, that way they know that they did impact you and they can be proud of you, because there's a lot of people out there that have mentors and people that are part of their life that don't give them the credit. They think that they did it themselves.
Oh yeah, nah, not Trav. He gonna let me know. No, I'm just joking. But so Trevor Ward, Sincere Booker, and Joe. I'll just call him Joe. As he go by Stibbley X, one of the coaches, barbers in the city. These three guys all together, collectively as a whole, and I might give Trav a little bit more higher praise than them because he's been with me the longest. Just taking the trips, talking to me through relationship, financial advice, credit, whatever, football, you name it, he's done it. He's helped out. So I definitely appreciate him without a doubt. His brand and what he stands for, that's definitely, he's helped grow. He's been there basically the same time Jarvis. And honestly, me and his sister were in the same high school class. So it was kind of just ironic how I met Jarvis off of that. Sincere, same thing. I used to have that hot temper, and he was like, hey man, it's just about learning how to change and be diverse. Knowing when to get out of character and when to just chill. It's a time and a place for everything. Joe is more like on the financial, and he gives life advice, and all three of them give life advice.
Yeah.
Like they all three give life advice, so it's like anything that I need, they give me that help. Yeah. Anything, and I don't hang out with people. I don't hang out with a lot of people my age, so everybody that I hang out with is at least 30 or mid-30s and above. So it's like I'm always the youngest anywhere I go, and with the people that I do hang out with. So they always give me that knowledge, like, hey, don't make the same mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
Hey, they're on me a little bit harder, like I said, same thing like with Jarvis' little brother, and Jarvis is like a mentor too. On the field, off the field, he's helped, and I appreciate you too. I say thank you, and like this, the competitive spirit, like he brings out the dog in me, and I feel like I do the same thing. Our trainer Brown's like, Jarvis is pretty quiet, but he says anytime CT comes around, now Jarvis is talking because I'm here. The presence is definitely felt when Jarvis is around, and we know it. And like I said, we push each other to get better. He's a heck of an athlete, and he's helped me. Trav has made me a heck of an athlete, training me for so long. Like I said, those trips to those colleges, he didn't have to do. So definitely want to say I appreciate you for taking that time out, big dog. Sincere, the time. One thing we can't get back in this world is time. So I definitely appreciate all of them taking their time out to help me with anything or picking up their phone. Nowadays you can't get somebody to pick up the phone when you need something. So just
everybody's too busy.
Everybody's too busy
posting Instagram photos and making sure the lighting is right.
But I just want to say thank you.
But Jarvis, and we definitely appreciate you, CT, for mentioning those guys, and for all you mentors that did mentor CT, you done a phenomenal job. We wanted him on our podcast because we seen something in him, and I had never even said 2 words to him. I could just see from his play that it spoke for itself, and that's a tribute to Good Lord first, and everybody that God sent His angels to you, and surrounded you with those great people. But Jarvis, sometimes the best players don't win a championship.
Yes, sir.
I consider you one of the most universal players that I've ever coached, and that's through youth, through high school, and through my professional football. I haven't ventured off to college yet, and I don't think that I want to. Only because I want to spend more time at home with my wife, and I want us to travel and do things such as every day is not promised, right?
Right. Sure.
So you're playing this game that you love, and loyalty comes into play. And it's been highly documented. I've said it. I've even told your head coach last week that my personal preference for you was to go to the Wolfpack. Not for anything else except for you deserve a championship on the way out. Should this be your last ride, right? What is your take on players jumping ship just to go win a championship? What's your take on that?
For me, I think it's players that feel like they think it's championship should be given. You know what I'm saying? Well, the Wolfpack, they won a championship, so I'm gonna try to go jump on their team so I can go win a championship. But for me, I feel like in my life, like you said, I may not win a championship this year, but I feel like every year for me, I win a championship because I get the opportunity to meet people, to help people, to look out for people. You know what I'm saying? To learn from people and just being with a group of people. That's a championship for me. You know what I'm saying? Championship in life for me. So that's the biggest thing for me.
So I think both of you guys are big champions. You guys are champions when it comes to life. And as we get ready to transition, Jarvis, we came up with Jarvis's Corner. And what I felt in the spirit was you needed to give our viewers something that you sent all of us 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, not knowing that we needed. And
Early in the morning.
Literally, even though I'm retired from the Army after 23 years, I find myself wanting to beat you.
To the punch.
So I get up, and Mrs. Owens is like, Latanya's like, where you at? I said, I had to go send this message. I had to beat Jarvis to the punch. So we want to give you all our viewers an opportunity to experience what we've experienced. And so Jarvis, this is Jarvis's Corner. This is a part of the OC Life podcast where there's no set time, but we want to give you a chance to share something with our viewers on what your thoughts are and dropping them a great nugget of motivation like you do us.
To everyone out there, here's your nugget. Never take life for granted because life doesn't last forever. Like today, my sister, she lost her husband and she had to pull the plug. It kind of hurts her because that's a person that she loved. That's the person she cared about, and we all care about him too. And it's just, I feel like we all need to take time out of our work day, Instagram, social media life, and just tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, just tell anybody that you care about, anybody that's in your corner, anybody that's in your life, tell them that you love them because you never know when they're gonna be gone, because you don't want to just give them their flowers when they're dead. You want to give them their flowers when they're alive too. So that's my message for you.
Well, Jarvis's Corner, always dropping that knowledge, dropping that nugget for us. CT, I tell you, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure and an honor because when I watch you on that football field, I know talent when I see it. And I'm not a jock rider. I just shoot it straight. And you definitely have displayed and shown the perseverance of faith, family, and football and your career. And you guys being CEOs of your companies, coming from the bottom to the top, going through life challenges, nothing is ever perfect. But what I seen the most in you, and I reached out to Jarvis and I said, hey, this guy's got a different type of attitude. I didn't see a traditional professional running back. I seen a man running with a purpose. I seen a man running with a purpose, not caring who was in his way. Similar to your life, and you were just knocking guys down. And I actually literally seen some players like, hey, I ain't gonna get in front of that train, And,
Appreciate it.
What I've learned about the both of you guys and CT, your story, is just because life throws you a curve doesn't mean that the curve doesn't have a great end in the end. Every curve every road has a straight path.
Right.
If you think about it. And so I want to tell you that it's a pleasure and an honor to truly and dearly have you a part of our OC Life podcast. To the point where we like you so much that we officially want to welcome you a part of the OC Life podcast team. Should you be a part of that, just because you've displayed different views, we'd love to start having you on weekly as your schedule allows, just to come in there and drop some nuggets and for us to have what we call a men's conversation, a conversation of people, a conversation where we can sit back and we can give back to our city. We both, all three of us, want to bring a great name to Killeen. You know, Jarvis, you're born and raised in Texas. You're here in Killeen. I told myself I would never live in Texas, and look where God got me. So I want us to, all three of us, to put our heads together and bring something positive to this city. And that's why, if you're willing to accept the invitation, myself as the host of OC Life Podcast, I know what I'm looking for. We would love to have you a part of our OC Life Podcast team. You've shown nothing but professionalism, you've shown openness, and you've shown the drive and motivation that it takes for all viewers out there to know that just because your life hit a roadblock doesn't mean that the road is gone. And so, as we get ready to close in our podcast, you know, you never know what God got planned for you. You never know what is on the other side. But like these two gentlemen said, if you truly and dearly don't give yourself an opportunity to do what God called you to do, you never know what's on the other side. And on one side of it, these guys' life was lost. And then on the other side, their life was found. So you went from being under law enforcement's command to Jarvis not having your biological father in your life, to having a great family in your life, to now both of you all are CEOs of companies. And just because your company is not worldwide doesn't take away the title and the hard work you earn.
That's true.
So I'll tell you all right now, this is OC Life Podcast 6, sponsored by B&B Suites, which is the #1 Airbnb in Central Texas. This is OC Life Podcast 6, where we turn your life into a message. God bless, and thank you both for being a part of our show.
God bless.